All right, let's jump right in. Today we're demystifying a framework that has totally changed the game for how teams build, well, pretty much everything. We're talking software, marketing campaigns, you name it. It's called Scrum, and it's all about one big idea, embracing change. So let's get into it. So picture this, right? You're deep into a massive project, but everything around you is in flux. What your customers want is changing, new tech is popping up left and right, the market is, well, it's just unpredictable. How on earth were you supposed to build something great when the goalposts are constantly moving? That's the exact puzzle Scrum was created to solve. So what's the big solution? Well, here it is. The official Scrum Guide calls it a lightweight framework. Now, what does that really mean? It means Scrum isn't some super strict, rigid rulebook. Instead, it's a flexible guide designed to help teams not just survive, but actually thrive when things get complicated. It's all about learning to adapt to change instead of fighting it. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll break down what Scrum is all about. Then, we're going to take a journey through a sprint, which is kind of the heart and soul of Scrum. After that, you'll meet the team, the key players involved, and finally, we'll look at how they actually measure success and make sure they're heading in the right direction. All right, first up, what is Scrum? So, at its core, it's all built on this idea called empiricism. I know, it sounds a little academic, but it's super simple. It just means you make decisions based on what you actually see and know to be true, not on guesswork. And this whole idea stands on three really important pillars. Okay, so pillar one is transparency. Pretty straightforward, right? It just means all the work, all the progress, it's all out in the open for everyone to see. No secrets. Because when everything's visible, you can move to pillar two, inspection. You're constantly checking in on how things are going. And what happens when you inspect and find something's a bit off? Well, that brings us to pillar three, adaptation. You don't just stick to a failing plan, you change course, you adapt. See how they all work together? It's a cycle that helps you catch problems early and stay on track. Okay, theory's great, but let's see how this stuff actually works in the real world. We're going to walk through the core workflow of Scrum. The best way to think about it is like a recurring journey, a cycle that turns a simple idea into something real and valuable piece by piece. So this gives you the big picture of the whole flow. It all kicks off with the product backlog. Think of it as the ultimate to-do list for the entire project. Next up is sprint planning, where the team grabs a manageable chunk of work from that big list. Then, boom, you're in the sprint itself, a short burst of focused work to get that stuff done. When the sprint is over, you've got the sprint review, where the team shows off what they built. And what they built is called the product increment, a real working piece of the product. And then what? You do it all over again. Each cycle, you're adding more value and getting smarter about how you work. Okay, let's zoom in on that product backlog. Super important to know, this is not a static, set-in-stone document. Nope, it's a living, breathing list that changes and grows as the team learns more. So, let's say we're building a food delivery app. The backlog would have items on it like build a user login or create a restaurant search feature and add a payment system. And crucially, they're all ordered by what's most important right now. All right, the sprint. This is where the real action is. Think of it as a time-boxed container. It holds all the work, and it's always a fixed length, usually somewhere between 1 and 4 weeks. That consistency is key. It creates a steady, predictable rhythm for the team. And every single sprint starts with an event called sprint planning. This is where the whole team gets together to decide on a sprint goal. Basically, the one big thing they want to accomplish during that sprint. So once the sprint's over, it's time for the sprint review. And please, don't picture some boring PowerPoint presentation. No way. This is a hands-on working session. It's a chance for stakeholders, the people who really care about the product, to get in there, click around, and see what the team built. They get to give real, honest feedback right then and there. Remember those pillars we talked about? This is inspection and adaptation in real time. And what's the big result of all that hard work? It's called the product increment. This is the actual usable piece of the product that the team created during the sprint. And here's the key part. It gets added to everything they built before. So every single increment makes the product a little bit bigger and a little bit better. It has to be a done, usable thing. So after the first sprint, maybe your users can log in. Cool. After the second one, maybe they can log in and edit their profile. See? You're adding another layer of real value every single time. Okay, so we've seen the process, but who are the people actually making all this happen? Well, Scrum is super clear about the specific roles on the team, so let's meet the crew. Believe it or not, a Scrum team only has 3 official roles. You've got the product owner, who's focused on the what. What are we building? Then you have the developers, the ones who figure out how to build it. And finally, there's the Scrum Master, who's like a coach, helping the whole team work better together. And that's it. No managers, no sub-teams, no complicated hierarchy. It's just one team, all in it together.
Let's start with the product owner. This person has a huge job. Their entire focus is on maximizing the value of whatever the team is building. They're the ones who own and prioritize that big to-do list, the product backlog. They make the tough calls on what to build next to make sure the team is always working on the most valuable stuff. And this is a big one. The product owner is always just one person, not a whole committee. Why? Because that keeps decisions clear and fast.
Next up, the developers. These are the experts who actually build the product. They're a self-managing team, which means nobody tells them how to do their work. They figure out the best way to turn those backlog items into a finished, usable increment. The team is also cross-functional, which is just a way of saying they have all the skills they need right there on the team. Design, coding, testing, you name it. They don't have to wait around for help from other departments. And that brings us to our third role, the Scrum Master. This quote from the Scrum Guide just nails it. They are true leaders who serve. Notice that word serve. They aren't a boss or a manager in the traditional sense. They are servant leaders. Their job is to serve the team and the wider organization by making sure everyone understands Scrum and is using it to its full potential. In this comparison here makes the difference crystal clear. A traditional project manager often directs the work. They manage the scope, the timeline, the budget. But a Scrum Master, they're a coach. Their focus isn't on directing. It's on the team's process and well-being. They're there to clear roadblocks out of the team's way, and most importantly, empower the team to manage itself. It's a huge shift from being a director to being an enabler. Okay, so if the team is self-managing, you might be wondering, how does anyone actually know if they're making progress? How do they stay on track? Well, Scrum has that covered. It has a few built-in events and tools that act like a compass for the team, always pointing them toward their goal. One of those key activities is called backlog refinement. Now, this isn't some formal scheduled meeting. It's more of an ongoing process. It's where the team looks at items coming up in the future and starts to get them ready. They'll add details, break big ideas down into smaller chunks. It's kind of like doing prep work in the kitchen. When you do it well, it means sprint planning is way smoother and the team can just get right to it. Now, to help with that planning, a lot of teams use a metric called velocity. All it is a measure of how much work the team typically gets done in a single sprint. And really importantly, this is not a performance metric to judge how good a team is. No, it's a forecasting tool. It helps the team look at their own history and answer a simple question. Based on what we've done before, how much work can we realistically finish in the next sprint? So for example, if a team sees that they consistently finish about 30 story points worth of work every sprint, well, their average velocity is 30. That number, based on real historical data, becomes an incredibly useful guide for planning. It helps them be more predictable and even gives them a way to forecast when big chunks of work might be done in the future. Once the sprint is actually happening, teams often use a burndown chart. This is a fantastic, super simple visual for tracking progress. Basically, it's a graph showing how much work is left to do. The goal is to see that line burn down towards 0 as the sprint goes on. If it is, awesome, you're on track. If the line goes flat or starts creeping up, that's a clear signal and early warning that the team needs to get together, inspect what's going on, and adapt their plan. And that brings us to the main event for daily inspection, the daily scrum. This is a super quick 15-minute meeting, same time, same place, every day, just for the developers. It's not a status report for a manager. It's a huddle for the team to sync up and plan their next 24 hours. They basically ask themselves 3 questions. What did I do yesterday to help us get closer to our goal? What am I going to do today? And, most importantly, is there anything blocking me or the team? This keeps everyone aligned and flags any problems so the Scrum Master can jump in and help clear them. But at the end of the day, Scrum is so much more than just a set of rules, roles, and meetings. It's a framework that is completely powered by people. It gives you the structure for sure, but the real magic, the success, it only happens when the team truly lives the values behind it. Values like courage, focus, and openness. So really, the big question to leave you with isn't just about what process your team will follow, it's about what kind of culture you're going to build together.